Happy Friday. You are listening to the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. I am your host, Whitney J. It is Friday, February 28th, 2020. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you are tuning in on the Awesome God Radio app, thank you so much. If you have not downloaded the free Awesome God Radio app, you are missing out. Amazing shows, amazing music, sermons, everything that you need. If you need a word from the Lord, I guarantee you it's here at Awesome God Radio. Download that app. If you are tuning in on awesomegodradio.com, thank you so much. Go to awesomegodradio.com. Click on AGR subscribe so you can watch all the shows. I'm telling you, people are being blessed. And last but certainly not least, if you are tuning in on Facebook Live, thank you so much. Hit the like button, share it to your page, and leave us a comment. I am super excited. It's Friday, y'all. It's She Heals Friday. And listen, I am just pumped up. It's amazing how God will allow you to go through certain things to get you to where you need to be. And so I have been just dealing with some things. And I kind of am hopping already into the She Heals Inspiration segment, so forgive me because I'm excited, y'all. I have been dealing with so many different things. And, I actually didn't share it last week, but on the way to our show last Friday, I got into a car accident. Literally 30 minutes before the show started, we got into a car accident, and someone had ran into the back of our car and then made a U-turn, backed up, made a U-turn and left. Right. And so, it was just so frustrating. I came in irritated. Right. And there was so many things going on. And so, it was just crazy. And I'm just like, Lord, why are you allowing this to happen? Lord, I got stuff to do. Lord, help me here, help me there. And, God put this word on me that, sometimes things will start to happen and we tend to look at it as, whoa, maybe I need to stop and maybe I need to back up a little bit. And sometimes God will allow things to happen to get your attention so that He can refocus you if you are out of alignment. But oftentimes the enemy is trying to stop you. So, in that moment, we got into the accident and I was really irritated. And I was like, you know what, but we're going to go do the show. We're not going to stop doing the show because that's not what God said in that moment. And so what I want to share with you and what the word that I want to give to you tonight is that there is always a reason to not do what God said. There's always going to be something that comes in the way between you and what God told you to do. And what you have to do is decide, are you going to lean in and get the work done? Or are you going to check out? So, I'm a teacher by day, and we teach this lesson to our third graders. It's about presenting challenges. And the words that we use is you either lean into the challenge, meaning you accept the fact that it may be difficult, but you are determined to work towards completing the challenge or getting through the challenge, or you lean out. And if you lean out, that kind of means you check out, you give up. And so once we teach it to the students, we use that terminology all the time. Okay, this problem is hard. Are you leaning in or are you leaning out? Okay, this conflict with your peer was hard. Are you leaning in or are you leaning out? So such can be applied to our lives, right? So if we're going through certain things, we have that choice to make. Am I going to lean into this or am I going to lean out? My life right now is a little crazy in a good way. A lot of good things are happening, but there are so many things that are not in the order that I want it in. Not that I said it was out of order. I said it's not in the order that I want it in. And so, God will require you to do some things sometimes that don't make sense. And so I'm in this season where God is putting some things, and I'm telling you, over the next couple of weeks, I'm going to be sharing, and I have a big announcement on May 1st. Listen, y'all are going to want to tune in. I'm so excited about this, but we're releasing it on May 1st. So I am so excited with all the things that God is telling me to do in this season, right? He's given me all these things, and I tend to get caught up in the logistics of things. So, okay, Lord, I know you said that, and that is great. It's miraculous, but how? I'm the how person, right? I'm the person that needs the details. I'm the person that's like, okay, how do we get from here to there? I have my publishing company, She Heals Publishing, and one of my authors was working with me, and she said to me, you're like a midwife helping people birth their book. And I was like, oh, that is profound, right? Because the midwife handles everything that's going to get you from point A, which is pregnant, to point B, which is delivering your baby, right? There's a whole lot that happens in that time. So I'm your details girl. I'm a teacher. So I'm the girl that's going to say, all right, this is what you want to get done. Cool. Here's the things we need to do. Here's the outline and the timeline and which things need to get done. Cause I'm about my time, right? I don't like to waste time. And so I'm adequately planned. But in this particular season, God is telling me to move, and he's only giving me one step at a time. One direction at a time. He's not laying the plan out for me. He's giving me one thing to do at a time. Just do this. Just do that. And he's requiring me to move without everything set the way that I want it. So if you've ever been in a situation where God tells you to do something and you're like, but how am I going to do that? Where's the money going to come from? Where's the space going to come from? Where are the resources? Where's the help? And he's like, just start working it. And so that's the season that I'm in. And I remember a few years ago when I was writing my first book, and, I'm like, Lord, okay, you gave me, the title of this book. I sat on it for 3.5 years. Okay, now it's time to write, God. But how? Like, sure, I can do the writing part, right? Because that to me is, that's one of the gifts that God has given me. So I can do the writing, but like, who's going to edit the book, and who's going to do the book cover, and how is it going to be published? And I don't have the money to do anything. Like, I don't even have the money to pay my bills every month, let alone you're trying to get me to do this new thing. And I'm just trying to figure out how is it going to get done? And what I want to say to you is that God provides everything that you need to do what he said. It's not that he's not going to lay everything out for us all the time. Sometimes he does, sometimes he doesn't, because he needs us to trust him. He needs us to remain connected to him. He needs us to make sure we are running the play that he gave. So here's the thing. It's kind of like in football. So the quarterback is given the play, right? He can't give you the next 5 plays. He needs to give you this play, because he needs to see how this play is going to work out so that he can develop the next play. Sometimes God has to see how you're going to handle what he said. Are you going to follow him even when you have no idea what you're walking into? Are you going to follow him even when you don't have things laid out the way? He needs to see how you're going to move. And then he can give you the next step. So many times we're like, God, I'm waiting for you to give me everything. And God's like, I'm waiting for you to move. And we're at this standstill, right? We looking at you, we staring each other down like, who's going to move first? Well, I'm going to tell you, God is God. What he says stands. He's not shifty. He's not like us. And so you got to be willing to say, God, if this is what you're saying, I have to trust that you are going to provide everything that I need to bring this to pass. The key word here is trust. The issue is not always our obedience. The issue is not always God's ability to provide. The issue is not always our sin. Sometimes it is literally our trust. Because when you trust God, you move different. When you really trust him, you move different. So there are people that are in your life that you probably trust, right? So I have some people in my life, some people in my family, that if they called me and said, Whitney, it's going to snow outside, put your snow coat on or whatever, I probably would do it without even checking the weather, because our trust is that heavy. I trust that they mean well for me and that they wouldn't tell me something that's wrong. So whenever I get in that pit where I'm struggling with being obedient to God, the first thing that I do is repent for my lack of trust. Because God, if you have given me an assignment, you already know my circumstances. You know I'm a single mom. You know I'm a widow. You know I'm 33. You know I have black hair or whatever other thing that's going on at that moment. You already know. And you know the things that I don't know. You know the divine connection that you've already provided for me. You know the divine provision that you've already aligned up. You know the storm that's coming that I don't even know about. He's omnipresent. He knows it all. He's always there. And so he's not bothered by it. My issue is I don't trust him. I don't trust him enough to blindly walk and go as he just, okay, God, you said it, so I'm going to do it. I don't trust him enough. My question for you is, do you trust him enough? We can say whatever, but God pays attention to our patterns and what we do. Right? Talk is cheap. So we can say, God, I trust you. I say, God, I trust you every single day. But do my thoughts align to that statement? Do my words and my actions align to that statement? Not all the time. Because I'm still like, well, let me try to figure it out first. Let me get my worst case scenario plan, the backup plan. But you don't need a backup plan to God's plan, because God's plan is his plan. It's perfect. And so sometimes we have to get to that place where we understand the issue is our trust. And we can peel that back even further. Well, God, what is the issue? Why don't I trust you? Well, in my case, I can only speak for me. I've trusted God with some things, and he allowed the worst case scenario to happen. I trusted God with my husband's life when he was sick and believed in God for his complete healing, and he chose to heal him in heaven, which is not what I wanted him to do. Right? So the trust, your lack of trust comes from somewhere. It comes from a pain or a trauma or a circumstance that you endure. And here's the thing. Nobody is telling you to be ashamed of that. What I'm saying is give that to God. Say to him, listen, God, I want to trust you more. But God, I'm struggling because this is what I see. God, I want to trust you more, but I'm struggling because I really trusted you with this one thing and it worked out this way and that broke my heart. God, I'm struggling. God is not looking for your perfection. He's looking for your submission. Will you just come to him and say, God, listen, raggedy and all, I'm here. I'm here, God. And I'm struggling, but I need you to help. Here's the other thing. When you get to God and you come to him and you really pour out the truth of what's going on and not that prepaid, pre-made rather, conversation that you give him like, Lord, you're wonderful. I praise you. I worship you. I exalt your name. All that is wonderful. But when you come to him with the real, God, I want to serve you. But it's hard for me to see what you're showing me when I'm looking at what I'm seeing right now in my reality. It's hard for me to see debt free, that you're calling me to be debt free if I have been in debt for so long and I don't see how that's gonna, happen. I see that you're calling me, God, to preach, but I can barely speak, God. So I'm struggling with, seeing the vision you have for me. And being bound by my current circumstances, what I see with my natural eyes. When you come to God and you give him that real, he will start to give you some deposits. So I'm in this rut because I've got two major things that need to take place in my life, right? And they will heavily impact myself and my family. And both of them require 2 lump sums of money. And so I'm like, Lord, how? How, Lord? And he's like, just start working the plan. And I'm like, okay, but I don't want to start doing the work and then I don't have the money to finish the work. And, other people are aligned to these things. And I don't want to mess up somebody else's situation. And I don't want to waste somebody else's time and their gifts and their resources. And I don't want to put anybody else in the box. So this is the conversation I'm having with God. And I'm like, so God, maybe I should just wait until things are a little bit less hectic. And maybe I need to get a part-time job and, save some extra money. Maybe I'll put this aside and do this other thing for a while to get the money together. He's like, so I didn't tell you to get the money together. What I told you to do was to do the assignment. And let me just remind you, because clearly this is an issue with your trust, Whitney. Let me just remind you of a few times I've come through in the midnight hour. A few times I prevented you from even dealing with a storm that you didn't even know was brewing. A few times I just moved you out the way. You don't even know the danger I've kept you from. You don't even know the provision that I just said, I'm going to just give this to her ahead of time. I'm not even going to allow her to have to deal with the situation. I'm going to just drop this provision for her, this protection for her ahead of time. So Whitney, I've done this millions of times for you. Have you forgotten me? Oh, but here's the other part, Whitney. The reason why you're struggling is because you haven't been in your word like you need to. Because if you had been in my word, you would have already known that I will supply all your needs. You would already know that all things work together for your good. You would already know that, and it would be seeping down in your heart that I'm not going to start something that I am not faithful to finish. So you need to get back in your word, and you need to get closer to me. You're going to let money stop you from doing what I said? How many times have you been hungry? How many times have you been homeless? How many times have your bills not been paid? How many times have things been cut off or turned off? So you're going to let money be the barrier? Really? And I had to take that conviction like, Dad, God, you're right. I was praising you when my husband was dying. I was praising you through an autism diagnosis of my younger son. I've been through way worse circumstances than what this is happening right now. And you have brought me through. You're right. Sometimes you got to stop and check the facts. You got to say, wait a minute. But my God is greater than that. Wait a minute, my God has always provided my needs. And even my losses were covered in victory. Even when I had to take an L for him, it was still a victory. And it's funny how I still don't even look like what I've actually been through. And when I take a moment to reflect, because sometimes we're so consumed by the right now that we forget about what God has already done. So sometimes he has to pull us back a little bit and say, let me have you check the facts. Let me show you my track record. Okay, don't let this situation fool you. I'm still the same God. And so let me show you what I've already done for you. Did you forget when you were making $20,000 a year as a 25-year-old widow with 2 children and in school full time, and you wasn't sure how you were going to pay your bills every day? And yet there was always enough. More than enough for your bills. You still paid your tithes. You still had extras to be able to take your kids and do things. So wait a minute. Hold on. I'm still the same God of 2012. I'm the same God in 2020. So if I was faithful then and you believed me more when you had less, how then are we in a space now where you have more and I've proven myself to you more, and somehow you're believing less? So we need to check that, sweetheart. You need to check the record. You need to figure out that issue. And guess what? Here's the thing, daughter. Because I know when that guilt hits you, you're going to be coming to me. And you're going to be saying, oh my God, I'm so sorry. God, I'm so sorry. Here's the thing. My grace is sufficient for you, and my power is made perfect in your weakness. So don't you dare get guilty and leave me. Press in to me, because I'm right here with you. I love you, and my love is not subject to your sin. I love you, period. I'm going to make sure that you're good, period. Even if what you think and how you think it works out is different than what I do, it's still covered in victory. And that's the thing that we get so stuck on is, God, I want it to look this way. I want it to look a certain way. You know, when I pray prayers, I'm going to be honest, I pray with an answer in mind. So if I say, Lord, you know, I'm believing you for divine connection, what I'm really saying is, Lord, I desire to marry again. Lord, I want some strong friendships. Lord, I want some strong business partnerships. Lord, I want, a strong, solid people around me. I want a community of people around me. And so I automatically have in mind what that's going to look like, right? I have in mind the type of man that I want. And I have in mind the type of friends that I want and the type of business partners I want. And God has to break me down sometimes and say, listen, you have to submit to my will. I'm going to give you everything that you need. And, the word says, if you delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you the desires of your heart. But when you are truly connected to God, listen, your desires change. They align to his will. So it's not that he doesn't, answer our prayer. He knows what's best. He knows what's best for us. And you know what? What's best for us doesn't always look and feel good, right? And, I've been in this season for now about 7 or 8 months of just being completely uncomfortable. He has removed all of the comforts that I had. Everything that I felt secure in, he has removed. And I'm just in this vulnerable place. Almost like feeling like you're naked, right? And he's like, do this and do that. And I'm like, I could have done these things when I was in my comfortable spot, right? It would have been easier to follow him, right? Because I had the security of those things around me. So when I owned my own home, I could follow him. And now I'm in this weird place of in the process of buying a new home and sold a home, and I'm uncomfortable. When things were good and I knew exactly how much money was coming in, and, I had everything planned and things were good, and I didn't have to seek him as much. Right? Because I knew what to expect. Now you've taken all the comfort away from me. You're requiring me to do things that require resources that I don't have because you want me connected to you. Because this isn't my thing. This is your thing being done through me. And so now I'm in this place and I'm super uncomfortable. And every day I'm trying to take some of that power. I'm trying to take some of that control. Like, all right, well, let me just do this here. Today, like on 4 or 5 different occasions, I wanted to check on something. I'm expecting some, some news. I need some information, and I was expecting it to come last week and it didn't come. And I reached out earlier this week and they were like, it's coming. And it's like, okay. And I was tempted to send an email to check up on it, right? Because I just wanted to know the answer. Is it a yes or a no? And, what are the details? Instead of just saying, God, I'm believing you for a yes. Or I'm believing you for your will, and whatever your will is best for me, and not having to check on it, and just understanding that delay does not mean denial, and understanding that God takes his precious time because he is getting things together. He's orchestrating the details better than I could ask or imagine. Instead of just sitting and saying, listen, my God has always got me. He's undefeated. I lack nothing. Instead of just sitting in that and saying, listen, at the right time, this will happen. The call will come when it's supposed to come. I don't need to try to orchestrate the answer, because then I might mess around and not get the answer that I wanted or needed because I'm trying to rush the process. So like 4 or 5 times today, I was at my computer and I was like, send an email, then I delete it. Then I would draft a text and then I would delete it. And finally, I just said, listen, Whitney, you either going to trust God or not. And I just stepped away from it. And I didn't reach out. And I didn't get the answer. And it's just like, it'll come. And it's already done. God said he is a protector of the widow and the fatherless. It's already done. The need is met. And matter of fact, it's met and exceeded. There will be extra. God has required me to do a special assignment. And that's what I'll be talking about in a couple weeks. And I was like, God, this is exciting. And then I started getting caught up in the logistics. Well, how are we going to do this? And the money and the team. Who is going to help me do this? Because it's something that I can't do myself. God sent the team. Boom. I mean, they came to me. I did not have to go to them. Everything that I needed came to me. The plan was laid out. The exact vision that God gave me, someone that doesn't know me at all confirmed it. It was like, this is what the Lord is telling me. And it was exactly what God said. So many things confirmed. And here I am. Well, I'm afraid to get started because what about the money? And God said, have I ever let you sit in lack? Have I ever not provided? I'm trying to take you somewhere. You keep saying, Lord, increase my territory. Lord, I want to be debt free. Lord, I want this. Lord, I want that. But you're not ready for those things. You can't even handle this. You can't even be faithful with just giving me your yes. You can't budget the money you have right now. Let alone if I give you what you're asking for, are you going to be able to handle it? You can't even be disciplined in your eating. Can I trust you to be disciplined in something else? Daughter, you're going to have to go with me through this. You're going to have to adhere to my will. You're going to have some faith and actually exercise it. You have to trust that for your one step, I'll take 10 on your behalf. You have to trust that as you start moving forward, I will provide more than you can ask or imagine. Really, what the heart of this is, daughter, is you're afraid that it might work out. You are so used to things not working out and having your worst case scenario happen and your backup plans. You are so used to disappointment that you have forgotten that I am a God who redeems and restores. You have forgotten that I am a God that can take you from lack to plenty. You have forgotten that I am a God that can change your entire life. And you're afraid to take these steps because you're afraid if you actually step out there that I might actually do what I say I'm going to do. And things may actually change better than you can ask or imagine. And you are conditioned by your current circumstances. You rather stay in the mess or in the trauma because it's what you know. And you're afraid of the unknown, of the freedom that comes with me. That is really the issue. I'm saying to you and I'm saying to me, I'm tired. And I deserve freedom. I serve a God that's too big for me to continue to be bound. I serve a God that's too big for me to continue with small-minded thinking and putting him in this box and, just existing and going through my days. I deserve to live a great life because I'm connected to a great God. I deserve to be debt-free. I deserve to do and be the things that he has said that I'm going to be and do. And so therefore, I'm going to make a move. And I'm going to move forward trusting that every need will be met. And as the needs get met, as the miracles start happening, as the divine connections and the divine protection and the divine provision happens, I'm going to be sure to write it all down so that I can tell the full story of what God has done for me. Tell your full story. Get to work. Don't be bound by your circumstances. Trust God. Get to work. I'm telling you, He is ready to bless you. Trust Him and move forward. We are going to take a quick break, and when we come back from the break, we have an amazing woman of God. Listen, if you want to talk about healing and restoration, you need to stick tight right here. This is the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. Take care. Be right back. Let's do it. Keep the background music on, too. Go. Thank you. Welcome back. You are listening to the She Heals Radio Show on Awesome God Radio. I am your host, Whitney J. Again, it is Friday, February 28th, 2020. February is almost over, y'all. It's crazy. So I pray that you were blessed by the She Heals inspiration segment. Listen, God definitely showed up, and that was a word from Him and not me, because that is not what I wanted to talk about today. But thank you, Jesus. And now we are hopping into our next segment. Listen, I believe that I am in a season of divine connection, and God has just been purposeful in connecting me with people. And it's amazing how you know someone or you've seen someone from afar, and then you actually talk to them, and it's like, dang, we got a lot in common. And so this amazing woman of God, I've heard her sing throughout the years. I have been connected to her on social media. We met in person and got to like talk for the first time a couple months ago. We both were speaking at an amazing event. Shout out to Stacy. We love you. We'll have to have you on the show soon too. And so I met her and she was talking and I was like, oh, I gotta get to her. And then I finished talking. She said, oh, I gotta get to you. And so it was just amazing. I am not gonna tell her story for you because she has an amazing word that will come from her. But listen, let's welcome to the She Heals Radio Show, Miss Joy Lucas.
Hello, everyone. Happy to be here.
Hey, Joy. Let's say, where the hand claps, cue. Hey, Joy. Listen, God is definitely in the midst right now, so we are just gonna just go as He leads. But listen, so when I met you, you shared a powerful testimony about restoration and what God did for you. Can you just share as much as you want to share with our listeners?
Certainly. So I guess the gist of it is I've come through 2 marriages, 2 divorces. Both, I was relatively young. I married at 18 initially, and then remarried when I was 26, 27. Both marriages lasted about 5 years each. I was off and on a lot with the first one, a lot of separation in between, but and then I have 3 kids who are products of those marriages also. My 2 older kids are from my first marriage, and my youngest is from my second marriage. And so having gone through that, and what a time. I would say particularly in the first marriage, just having to go through that whole process, and I'll talk a little bit about the support group that I have and why I did what I did in terms of that support group.
Yes.
Having gone through that process as a young wife, being so young, and all the brokenness that I experienced during that time.
Yeah.
In retrospect, I'm very grateful that it happened when and how it happened. It wasn't good when I was going through it, but I understand like a lot of the things that went on. I have a lot of clarity now being older. But yes, I went through a very traumatic divorce. It was actually traumatic, I believe, for the both of us. We're actually really cool now.
That's great.
We raised kids together. Kids are grown, so but having gone through that was just a period of time in my life where I was young and impressionable. I saw my grandparents married young, and you figure you're looking at, they were 16 and 17 when they got married, and it'll work. It can work, and so that was kind of what I built my hopes on, getting married young and in love, and not realizing then that it was a different time, when they got married. We're bombarded with a lot more, and were bombarded with a lot more at that time. But I went through the whole, was I good enough? Didn't feel good enough. Feeling inadequate and insufficient. And, what could I have done different? And, God really walked me through that process. And I tell people it was tough for me because I was young and I didn't have anyone that was relatable, meaning I didn't have anyone my age going through that kind of stuff.
Yes, that's hard.
And so I wanted, family shows up, and it's like, family means well. You're going to be fine, and God's going to take you through. And it sounds good going through, but when you don't have someone there that's actually like experiencing or have experienced it the way, like walking that walk, it was tough. It was hard. I went from, I lived in my mom's house. I never got to go to college at that point. Hadn't gone to college, graduated high school, and was married the next year.
Wow.
Leaving my mom's house, went straight to an apartment, and then, you separate, and then you go back to mom's house, and then you go back to grandma, just bouncing all over the place with kids. So it was a really, really rough time, but I think that it was a time of growth for me too. I learned a lot about myself. Moving into my second marriage, that was also a tough time. Different circumstances, and you think that I would say transformation to a degree did take place, because there was things that I learned, but there was still more to learn.
Yeah.
And so I didn't hop right into marriage. I wouldn't say. I think there may have been like a 3 or 4 year difference, maybe even 5 year difference between the transitions. And I guess a tad older, different circumstances, but kind of the same feelings. And having gone through divorce a second time was really, really traumatic, because I'm a church girl, pretty well known around the city because of music and that kind of thing. So you deal with the embarrassment of having to tell people, like, I'm here again, and now I have a third kid. It was rough. It was very rough, because people look to you. I guess, and a lot of it's my fault. You want to portray an image to the people that see you most. You want people to look at you in a certain light, right?
Absolutely. Can I interject for a quick second, because you just said exactly what I was about to say. I think it's not even that just a you thing. I think that unfortunately in the body of Christ, we have modeled that type of behavior. So we look really good, right? When we go to church on Sunday and we tell our testimony, and we, it's always about what the problem was, and then the big boom thing, right? But we never talk about the in between, right? That's where the ugly stuff is taking place, right? Yes. Or if it didn't work out, we don't even talk about it at all. You know what I mean?
There's that,
and so I think that it's that embarrassment and that shame that comes is in part on us as the body, because we haven't created an environment where we truly are inviting to all people, even if you know God and love God, and you're still going through something, you should feel safe enough to say that. I just wanted to throw that in, but keep going.
Absolutely. And so to that point, having to show up in church, and your ministry leader, I was very active in terms of music, and I've always been active musically and in church. So I direct the choir, I lead the praise team, and having to go through those processes and masking it, that was really, really hard. Because you don't want people to know your business. Again, you want people to look at you, oh, she's a praise and worship leader, she's married, she's got kids, oh, she's great, joy, yeah, we're so happy for her, and da-da-da-da. And you have to walk around and you have to still lead people to worship, and you still gotta I'm literally, I spent years wearing a mask. I mean, I would say most of my adult life masked. Very troublesome. Dealing with things internally. I was vocal, with some people. There were some people that I could share with. But again, when they're not where you are, you can share. I can give you the information, but if you've never been there, and you can encourage me, oh, it's going to be fine. But if you're not living it,
it's different.
It's very different. And so I think that may have been one of the hardest things for me. The other thing was my children, like, they were with it, or were in it with me through all of it. And I see even now, my kids, I have my oldest is 20, my middle is 18, and I have a 13-year-old. Who they are today is a direct reflection of what they were exposed to, obviously, right? And so I see some of the brokenness that that myself and their fathers have had to deal with in them. It shows up.
It does.
And I think that may be the worst part for me, because now, you hope to build, they say you don't, if you raise like a broken children become broken adults, basically is essentially what the saying is. And so you try to shield them from it, but there's really no way to. You're in the home with it, you see it, it's hard. And then I was a young parent, still want to live my life, I want to do what I want to do, I'm still grown, I'm young, but I'm still grown, and my kids are witnessing all the dysfunction in and around me, so it's a crazy space to be in. But I think after my second divorce, I was forced to sit and deal with me. I think it was the first time ever in my adult life that I took the time and said, you know what? They'd say you don't attract what you do, you attract who you are.
Yeah. And
so that was when I started digging into, like, the whole soul searching thing. Like, I really started looking at me. Because before, I was blaming everybody. Oh, he did this, and this is why it didn't work, and I tried to do this, and everybody that would hear it, it wasn't me. It wasn't me this time. And people thought that, like, I was this pristine because I was the church girl. This was the image that I put out there. I'm telling my story. Like, this is real. I put out there because I put out what I wanted people to see.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah.
And so, now I'm an adult, I'm grown. Here you are, second time, Joy. Now who you gonna blame? Like, who is it now?
Right.
And so I was forced to really deal with myself, to go after healing. And I did, we prayed, and I had people around me. I started to surround myself with people who were not cheerleaders. That's going to tell you like it is. Like,
yeah, we been ready to
Yes, I had to be really careful about that, because there are a lot of people that surround me even today, and I love people. People generally gravitate toward me because of my spirit. I know who I am. I'm very confident in who I am. But there are a lot of cheerleaders around me, and we have to be careful of that we don't have so many people rah rah rah, and nobody's telling you about yourself. Like, you trifling. Like, you need to get that together.
Yeah.
And I was grateful to have people around me, and still have people around me that will tell me, like, you did wrong for that, right? Yeah. No, that wasn't him. Like, you did that. Like, you were out of order.
Yeah.
There were people there in that space, and thankfully, this process of healing, it has not been easy, and I'm still walking it out. There's still certain places in my life that are broken, that are being mended, which leads me to the whole thing. The group that I started, the support group, was for divorcees, that I started back in March last year. And I did it because I didn't have it. When I went through the divorces, I didn't really have anybody to walk through that with me. I felt like it was taboo at church. Nobody talks about divorce.
You're right.
There's single ministries, marriage ministry, marriage enrichment, you know what I mean?
Divorced and widowed. We just out here.
Yeah. what do you do when the marriage doesn't work? Where's where's the healing for that, or the group, or the whatever, the support for that? Yeah. So I started that group in hopes to reach a demographic that didn't have, that walked that way, didn't have what I had, and maybe there's something I can share about my story that can help somebody else, or somebody in the group that, and it's crazy because we'll sit in group and have two complete strangers with the same story. Yeah. And want to start talking like, that happened to me too. Really? I had that happen to me. It's amazing to see. And so, again, I'm walking out the process. I'm not completely, but I am certainly on my way.
Yes,
certainly.
Yes, I love it. And you hit so many points, which I'm like fired up right now. One of the things, first of all, thank you for sharing that.
Absolutely.
Because anytime that we are transparent, people don't realize, there is a level of commitment to God that comes with that. When you're like, I'm going to tell the parts of my story I don't want to tell, it opens up, so many other things. So I thank you for that transparency, because I know somebody is going to be blessed. Mm-hmm. But one of the things that I wanted to kind of talk with you through is, you were talking about what I kept hearing is the accountability. Mm-hmm. Having people around you that are going to help you get to your healing. Mm-hmm. And we know that, God is such a loving God that He doesn't require us to do life here alone. Mm-hmm. He will send people to, pour into us and to be into relationship, friendship, or whatever. Mm-hmm. So talk to me a little bit about how did this, or how, even with the support group, how did that help you in your healing? Just those connections.
Just knowing that there were people out there that were facing what I faced. Like, I wasn't alone. And I knew it when I started it, that there was going to be, a certain group of people that I was to reach. I knew that it was with purpose. There was people out there, be it 2 or 20, that had a story, needed to sit and share it, were looking for a safe space to share it in. That has certainly helped me with my healing, because sometimes, again, as I posted on Instagram when I put up the promo for this. Healing starts with a conversation, and if you're
Absolutely.
not willing, if you're tight-lipped about it, you can't heal.
Yeah.
So you internalize it and you roll it over and you mull it over, but until you give it voice, healing can't take place.
Absolutely.
You know?
Absolutely. You know, I always say that you can't heal if you don't reveal. You got to say something. You have to say something. I think the other thing too is, you know, just recognizing, I think some people go to two different extremes. So either they internalize everything and everything is my fault. It is all my fault. I'm a horrible, awful person. Or they're on the other end that's like, it's all you. It's never me. You're wrong. You know, when really the truth of the matter is, it's probably somewhere in between the two, right? You know, and so I think a lot of times we as people just get so caught up in that, like, you did it or I did it, and God is not concerned. Yeah, he is not concerned. First of all, he already knows, and he's just concerned with what are you doing now. Something else that you said that I really want to tap into, because you are a worship leader, and you've been serving in that role, you know, like you said, for a long time, is worshiping when you're broken. You know, the funny thing about God is the assignment doesn't stop based on our circumstances.
Certainly
right?
not.
So it's not like, okay, well, I'm in a good mood and I feel like worshiping you today. You got to worship, period. Whether you like it, whether you feel like it or not. How is that? Like, just when you are in the fire, in the thick of it, and it's your role to help orchestrate an atmosphere where worship can take place.
Listen, there were Sunday mornings when I would hit that snooze button and I wouldn't even be asleep. I would just hit, like, I would be wide awake and just like, again, like, really? I have to do this again. I mean, for a long time. And I've been in church all my life. I know the word, you know, rejoice, and again I say rejoice, and I know all the scriptures, all of that. But and when you're in it, it's like, man, look, I don't want to talk to I don't even feel like being around people, let alone ushering somebody into the presence of the Lord. Like, who? What?
Right.
It was a constant struggle for me, but somehow, I don't know, it's I guess once you get there, and you know, there's where the Spirit is, there's liberty. Once you get in that space, a lot of that is where I found healing.
Yes.
Like, getting up. Okay, I don't really feel like doing this. I don't want to get out the bed. I would rather stay here. But you know what? You know, if this is what you're calling me to, if this is what part of my purpose is, you know, you get up and you get in that space, and you know, the Holy Ghost begins to take over the atmosphere wherever you are. There's such a freedom and a comfort in worship.
Yes.
Even in brokenness, there's such an amazing, if you can tap into, if you can push past what you feel like in the moment. Yeah. Like, there is such a freedom in worship.
Absolutely.
Such a freedom. And so by the time I'm done, you know, I'm okay. All right. We good. You can live to fight another day.
Yeah.
You know?
It's something about having a worship for God when you're going through. Yeah. You know, it's easy to worship God when things are great, right? It's like, oh, you're great, God. You've done this. And, you know, it's something to be said when you can worship God in the silence. Because there is a period where God is always working, right? So he's always moving. But he is not always making us privy to his steps, right? So there is a season where God's kind of quiet. Can you still worship him when it's quiet, when you're like, Lord, I know you're working, but I don't really see any evidence of it. But okay, you know, do you have it? Yeah. And your healing is dependent upon your worship. It's dependent upon your worship. So talk to me about Joy Now. So you have started this amazing support group. So now you're pouring in what you've been through, you're pouring into other women, and it's kind of collective. They're pouring into you, you're pouring into them. Indeed. And if you could look back on young Joy, what would you say to her?
Wait. Wait. That would be my first our first conversation would be wait. there's still life to live. At 18, you can go to school, you can go to college. The possibilities are endless. Just hold tight.
Yeah.
Get to know a little bit more about yourself. Grow up a little bit.
Live a little
bit. Yeah, absolutely. Another thing would be, I don't know what I've told my 18-year-old self. Yeah, I mean, that would be it. Just wait and just live a little bit. Let life happen a little bit.
Let me ask you this, because this is something I have always thought in the back of my mind. Mm-hmm. Did you feel pressured to get married? Young. Specifically in the body of Christ.
To a degree. But the pressure didn't come until I think we put it out there. And once we put it out there, everybody just kind of ran with it. Like, so we're going to do it like this. And we're going to have this date. So we're going to do it in September. Okay, cool. But I think that initially the pressure wasn't really there. It was just kind of like, oh, we're young. He gave me this little cloudy ring. And it was cute. It was great. At the time, it was just like, wow. Like, I'm 18. I'm engaged. Like, huh? But there really wasn't pressure because I think, out of the crew, like our peers, we were the youngest to do it.
Oh, wow.
Everybody else it was really weird because that year there were like 4 marriages. There was like, we were in September, there was 2 couples in November, then somebody got married in December, but they were all a little bit older than us.
Wow.
We were the babies.
Oh, wow. And
so there really was no pressure. It was just kind of like young and in love. And I think the intent was right. You want to live right. You want to, do the right thing. You don't want to fornicate. You want to do things the right way. I think the intent was right, but I don't think there was pressure until after we kind of like put out there what we were gonna do.
Yeah, the reason why I'm asking that is I know that there are some people that have, that have shared, they have felt that pressure of like, oh, I need to get married and have family. And it's like, okay, well, everything in God, you need to adhere to what God said for you. Right? And what God's plan for you may look different than other people's. And that's okay too.
Yes.
I love what you're saying though about wait. And I think that can be applied in every area. Before you do something, just wait.
Yes.
Take a moment, and I know we live in a society right now that we are always moving. We're always jumping. It's always, I want it right now. I don't have to wait for anything. Right? Like if you think about it, there's nothing we have to wait for.
Especially now. Everything's at your fingertips.
It's at your fingertips. And it's hard when you want something so bad to just wait for it. And not to get your fingers in it. And not to get in God's way and to help him out. Right? And so I appreciate you saying wait. I want to ask you this, and as we are, wrapping up, I told you the time goes by fast.
Wow.
Super fast. Somebody could be listening to the show right now, and we don't know who's on the show. I just know that whenever God puts it on my heart to bring certain guests, I know that there are people he aligns to hear them. And so maybe they are broken. Maybe they're going through a divorce, or they are considering divorce, or maybe they're in that unknown stage of, I'm not sure what's about to happen in my marriage. Are we going to stay? Or are we going to, separate or whatever? What would you say to them? Just take a few seconds and just pour into them some encouragement.
So I would say to the one contemplating divorce, wait. Most of us know that it's really not God's desire for us to end marriage and divorce. I've learned as an adult, having experienced some things, that a lot of divorces, or the ultimate reason for divorces, is just 2 imperfect people. And when we see that and understand that, I'm not perfect and neither are you.
Yeah.
I have challenges and so do you.
Yeah.
I would say wait and pray about it. And I would pray about it together. I would pray about it together.
Yes.
Definitely seek counsel. People that you trust.
Yeah.
Seek counsel before you make a rash decision. That's one thing. Don't be impulsive about divorce. I know some people will look for an out, but again, when you're dealing with 2 imperfect individuals, It's easy to part ways. That would be the easy thing to do, but I would say wait and pray about it. To the one who's already divorced and you're kind of walking it out and you're listening, I would say that his stripes are your healing.
Yes.
Yeah, his stripes are your healing.
Yes.
So the thing that you're feeling, the emotions, the wave of emotions that you feel day in, day out, not wanting to get out of bed, not wanting to do anything, the depression that comes along with, divorce, he died for that.
Yeah.
And, I don't want to come off as churchy, like, oh, that doesn't work. If you take into account what I'm saying, he literally died for what you're feeling.
Yeah.
The Bible says that the chastisement of our peace was upon, he bore that for you, so you don't have to deal with depression. You don't have to deal with it. You don't have to experience. I mean, you can experience it. I'm not saying that these are real emotions. These are real raw emotions but you don't have to stay there.
Absolutely.
Feel it. Go through the process, and then get up and keep moving. I pray that you be strengthened. Just healing is available. Seek counsel. There's like this stigma with us in counseling. Like, find a therapist. Yes, I see a therapist. Like, find a therapist. Even if you have those good moments and you feel like, well, I'm good. I'm divorced, and I'm good now. Find a therapist. Find somebody to pour into you, to talk to you, to eventually or occasionally you may want to unload. There may be some things that you need to just get off your chest. Yes, find a safe place. But yes, healing is available. Healing is the children's bread.
Listen.
Yeah, it's available.
Listen, we don't have to be in bondage. We don't have to live in shame and guilt,
and that embarrassment.
That is not what God has for us. He has so much more for us. And listen, your healing is available. Listen, I just have to say this. Many times, we go through life and we're just trying to get it right. We're just trying to get it right. Yeah. And sometimes it's really hard to think or to see healing when all you know is brokenness. Yeah. Right? So if you're, have a family history of depression and anxiety and different things, it's hard to see healing. It's hard to actually know that you can embrace waking up to a new morning and being able to get up out of the bed, without 97 negative thoughts hitting you first. It's hard. And sometimes it's like, oh yeah, that sounds really good. And, but listen, it is available. It is available. But I would not be me if I didn't tell you that healing takes work. Oh yeah. We've got to do the work. I think we think of healing as this supernatural. One day it don't hurt no more. Yeah. Listen, one day it won't hurt anymore. That is a fact. But you do have to go through the process. Yeah. And the process is where God shows you himself. The process is when he shows you. There were things in me I didn't know that was in me until I had to go through some things, and God had to show me that's how I made you. And so I just embrace the process, embrace the work, and know that his grace is sufficient for you. His power is made perfect in your weakness. Listen, you lack nothing. He is right there. He wants to heal you. I want to thank Joy Lucas for joining us on the show today. Thank you for sharing.
Thank you for having me.
I'm gonna have to have you back because I have like a whole other idea that just came to me. So we're gonna have to hang. We're gonna have to hang pretty soon. Listen, Awesome God Radio, it is always my pleasure to be here. I don't take for granted the things that God has allowed me to do. And to be able to come here every week and pour out is an honor. So for everyone that's listened, whether you've listened for the first time or you listen every week, thank you. Thank you and thank God. God, I just thank you for being who you are and allowing this space for little old Wit to just come and be able to share what's on her heart. I don't take it for granted. Shout out to my producer, Quincy, that always takes care of their show every week. The show wouldn't be what it is without you. To my Awesome God Radio family, I love you. To the listeners, I love you all. God bless you. In closing, she thinks, she feels, she hurts, she cries, she prays, she fasts, she trusts, she overcomes, and ultimately, she heals. This is the She Heals Radio Show with your host, Whitney J. Have an amazing weekend. Take care. We'll see you back here next Friday, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. God bless.
Number one power mixer. DJ Wiz.
It's the Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. It's the Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. Every week playing the hottest Christian hits.
No doubt this is the day the Lord has made. Let us rejoice in the Lord. Yes, it's that time of the week for your favorite mix show. The hottest when it comes to Christian hip-hop and R&B music on the internet. I'm your host, DJ Wiz, and we broadcast straight out of New Jersey. Yes, indeed, we have another hype show for you, so turn up your radios. It's about to go down. It's official. Street Ministry. The Wiz Show with your man, DJ Wiz. If you're ready, I'm ready. Let's go.
It's the Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. It's the Wiz Show. The Wiz Show. Every week playing the hottest Christian hits.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
No doubt, no doubt. Hey, it's your man DJ Wiz closing out the year with my top 20 songs of 2018. I'm hype about this, and I want to shout out to every artist that was played on my show this year. There's so much talent out there. A lot of people representing the kingdom. Unfortunately, not everyone can be on my countdown. So I took the time to really narrow down the list to 20. And it was not easy, I'm telling you. So here we go. We're going to jump right into my 20 favorite songs. So sit back and enjoy the Wiz Show Top 20. Kicking off with number 20, Nadira Dawson. The song is called Take You There. All right, the Wiz Show. Let's go.
What you see